What's going on, people? Man, talking about this Raptors Heat series after Game 2, going into Game 3 tomorrow afternoon, right up against the Kentucky Derby, man. Gonna be a fun little sports afternoon tomorrow for sports fans, man. So be clicking back and forth when that's on. But yeah, man. JV, man. It's funny because I said the Raptors will win Game 2, and they did. And you could just tell, like, right out of the gate, like, the Raptors were determined to win this game. They had a lot of cold streaks, which got Miami into the ball game. Even had Miami leading at times, and that's gotten the game close, got it to the point where we went to overtime. But the important thing about that game was, the Raptors need to take a lot out of this game, because this is the way I think you could beat the Heat. Have control of the game, because in Game 1 they didn't really have control of it. Miami controlled that shit most of the way through, and you could just tell Miami was going to win the game because they were leading most of the time. I think the Raptors, like, even against the Pacers, were playing better in games where they had control of the game, like when they had the fucking lead most of the game. So the Raptors need to play that. They're not going to do that every game, but they need to play that way every game where they have the fucking lead. And they'll be able to win ball games. Now that the Raptors have tied the series up, you see a lot of what I was talking about in the last video. The most glaring thing that I pointed out in that video was that Whiteside was overrated. Now people are seeing that, and JV is something special. Look, when I talk about sports and I see things in the game, I'm going to point that shit right out. And if I see bullshit, I'm going to point it right out. And the bullshit that I've been seeing and that I got sick of hearing was that Whiteside was this unbelievable fucking center. I told y'all in the last video he was overrated as fuck, and I mean that. And a lot of that had to do with what I saw. Al Jefferson basically took that nigga to school in the last round, dude. The reason why that series went 7 games is because of a lot of the dirty work that Al Jefferson was doing in the post in that series. He was raping Whiteside, you know. And you can see JV just raping this dude. And the thing about JV, he has such a high motor. He just keeps going after scraps, keeps going after rebounds. This high energy all the time. Like, he don't give up on plays. Like, you see a lot of those bouncy type rebounds that he tries to grab. Sometimes he won't, you know, maintain control on. But you just see little shit like that, man. Like, the dude is just committed to winning. He's a selfless player. Doesn't demand the ball like that. But when he gets his touches off of a rebound or something, or do like he did yesterday by hitting, basically I thought it was the key jump shot of the overtime period. Without that jump shot, Maybe the and you know the Heat obviously missed some baskets down the other end, but that had a lot to do with good defense. Look, man, JV stepping up, you know, and there's a reason why Charles Barkley always said the Raptors would go as JV goes, because he knew like 2 years ago the Raptors would have to go as JV goes, and he knew that he'd have to be the one to step up. If the Raptors were going anywhere, he had to be the one to step up. Because you got the Brick DeRozan, he's, man, I tell you what, it's tough watching him sometimes, but, you know. And Kyle Lowry finally stepped up yesterday. Still had kind of a, you know, not that good of an efficient game, but he improved a lot from the game before. If you can at least get that kind of play out of him, it won't look as detrimental as it was. Like, his Tuesday game was just so fucking horrendous. But if you could get Kyle Lowry to play like that, you got a chance, because Goran Dragic can't defend him. Like, if Kyle Lowry could get going, he can't defend a one-on-one. He couldn't even defend Jeremy Lin or Kemba Walker one-on-one that last series. So you have to do that. Now, Kyle Lowry, there's been a lot of defensive mistakes that have allowed Goran Dragic to just keep having big games for the Heat. But that's something that they're going to have to clean up too and kind of get it isolated. Man, I'm telling you, man, though, but, you know, even Skip Bayless sent out a tweet last night during the game that I read that Hassan Whiteside is just getting beat by JV. I forgot what his exact words were, but you know how Skip Bayless like to make people laugh and shit. Cause for Skip Bayless, you gotta understand with Skip Bayless, he's sitting right across that table from Stephen A. Smith, who was a Miami Heat dick writer. You know what I'm saying? He wants to see that Heat Cavs series so fucking bad, just so he can go to South Beach in that series, because you know he's gonna be covering the series, so he want to go to South Beach. You know what I'm saying? Or what I like to call Dirty Beach. You know what I'm saying? Dirty as shit. I've been to Miami before. That fucking South, that beach was so goddamn dirty, dude. But I ain't gonna get on there right now. Anyways, he's sitting right across, and you know Stephen A. Smith. I listen to his radio. I like Stephen A. Smith, but I listen to his radio shows too. But he just dick rides to Miami Heat. He thinks that Miami Heat are something like they really on the Cavs level or some shit, and they're not. Skip Bayless literally has to sit right across from him and hear that Hassan Whiteside, this kid Richardson, is all of this special shit. And I think for Skip Bayless, he was hoping to see JV expose this nigga, and he's doing that in this fucking series. And it's going to be worse on Whiteside with this series going down to their turf now, if JV is still raping this nigga both games or one game, you know. Because I think the Raptors are in for, they're probably going to be in for a little blowout here. I think one of these two games are going to be a Miami Heat blowout. They tend to play really well down there. Like they just get on an offensive explosion down there. So I'm expecting, if we lose, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be close, like some of those Indiana games were at their house. But you seeing it. You seeing it. You seeing JV, man. You can see that this is going to be his fucking team, like I was saying. And JV's just doing his thing right now, man. He is forcing turnovers on Whiteside. He's just doing a lot of stuff, man, to affect his game, man. And it's exposing his ass. So it's great, man. But in this series, man, what I'm taking for the first two games of this series is that the Heat the Pacers were harder than the Heat. I would not have, before the series started, even though I knew the Heat were not that good because they barely got past the Hornets, I really thought that the Heat would be better than the Pacers, and I can't even say that. The Pacers were actually better because the big-time players were stepping up. They wasn't making those mistakes. Mahinmi is better than Whiteside for JV. Point guard play was better from George Hill. Like, George Hill even impressed me in that series. Paul George, you know about him. And they still fired Frank Over Foco, so that's kind of crazy with with Indiana right now. I don't know what Larry Bird doing down there, but I really think he just made a frantic decision. But the Pacers seem like a harder team than the Heat. The only difference between the two is that Miami has more experience, you know, veteran experience. And I think that without Chris Bosh, this Heat team is not quite at the level where they need to be. Because they're really short-handed when you think about it. They really short-handed. They don't got a lot. They don't got a deep bench. Joe Johnson is not playing that well to me. He's had a couple of. He's been like he has some runs where everything is going in, then he just completely disappear on you, just like he did in Brooklyn. To me, the more impressive player in the series to me is Luol Deng, especially his defense. It gets overlooked. But Luol Deng, you know, he's a great defender when he was with the Bulls and shit. So, and obviously Wade, you know, Wade gonna get his. But man, I'm looking at look. If the Raptors don't get swept by these two games at home, man, if they could pull out one of those two, this is dangerous for the Heat, man. This is playing with fire. And let me say something about the Cavs. The team that LeBron truly don't want to see is the fucking Raptors. He already lost to them. The last Raptors regular season game against the Cavs, the one in Toronto, the one where Kyle Lowry was going off in the fourth. And the Raptors, because the Raptors have a chance to be the best team that Cleveland sees all through these fucking playoffs. The Cavs is easily going to handle the Heat. I honestly think if they don't face the Cavs, if they end up facing the Heat, the hardest team that the Cavs would have seen was the Pistons, and that's the first round team. Obviously, Atlanta's going to be the worst that they see, so that's why it's been looking like the way it does. I'll be surprised if the Hawks get a game out of this fucking shit. That should be a clean sweep, based on the way Cleveland's playing. To me, there's things that Toronto does that could frustrate a team, and I could see them frustrating the shooters, Kyrie, Kevin Love. All of those vulnerable weaknesses that Cleveland has could get exposed in a 7-game series against the Raptors. Now, I'm telling you right now, the Raptors not going to win that series. Cavs have like a 70-90% chance of making it to the finals, okay? Nobody is going to believe you if you say that any of these fucking teams are going to beat the Cavs. It's sports, so it's possible, but I'm just looking for one thing in that series. I'm not looking for the Raptors to win it. I'm just looking for the Raptors to give the Heat a really hard time. I mean, the Cavs a really hard time like they're giving the Heat right now. And get maybe a couple of games out of that series. Or I don't know if they'll be able to take it to 7, but you know, the Brick DeRozan and Kyle Lowry will have to go off in order for that to happen. But I'm telling you, man, LeBron probably, I think it's in LeBron's best interest to go and see Miami. You don't want to see this Raptors team, man, especially if JV keeps playing this way, because he's going to cause a lot of problems. Because it's going to force the Cavs to play Mozgov, too, and that's going to ruin what Tyronn Lue was trying to do with this team, getting them ready in a 7-game series against the fucking Warriors playing that small ball. He ain't going to want to go into the next series having to put Mozgov in the game, because that's exactly what's going to have to happen if JV has to go against small-ass centers and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, he don't want to see that. And, you know who else don't want to see the Raptors? The fucking Warriors. They don't want to see them either. Because in the 2 games that they played in this series, both games came down to the wire. And I really felt like Toronto did a better job defensively against the Warriors, where they could get the Warriors some fucking problems, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like the Raptors, if the Raptors lived up to their standards, this is why I say this is a team made more for the future than they are for right now. They're just a player away, man. They are a player away from being the Spurs of the Eastern Conference, a team that the media don't want to see make it to the finals, a team that just continues to get in the way. As you see, the media's finally just embracing the Spurs ever since they started going against the Heat in the fucking finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, that's how the Raptors are. The Raptors got to be that spoiler team in the East. That team that, you know, the media don't want to see. But they just keep getting in the way of those teams. So it's gonna be interesting, man. Hey, if the Raptors win a game, I'm just interested to see which game it's gonna be, because to me, could you imagine them actually taking Game 3 and making this 2-1 like they did against the Pacers? That'd be pretty bad for the fucking Heat. That'd be pretty fucking bad for the Heat. So we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting the Heat to do their thing tomorrow, man. I'm expecting a blowout. I got them winning that game, but I'm telling you what, man. The Raptors get that shit done tomorrow. Holy shit. Alright, y'all, and Lions fans, I'm still gonna make that draft video, man, so don't worry about that. You know, right now I still only really got time to make these little quick basketball videos, but I'll get to them, man. But thank y'all for watching. We the North. Peace.